Hey there, Andy here again, author of Folk Springs Eternal. Welcome to video number 2 of This Is My Name. So, as promised, in this video we're going to be looking at myth busting. That's right, we're going to be busting through some myths or some negative self-beliefs that people typically hold about themselves. These negative beliefs, if we don't deal with them now, might stop you from even getting started on your journey. And some of the beliefs that I'll be talking about are so insidious you might not even realise you had them. This content is very important and everybody should benefit from this video, so please don't skip it. I'm the right person to go through each of these myths with you because I've suffered from a number of them in my own life. The good news is though that with perseverance and the right attitude you can overcome all of the obstacles that are in your way. So, before we get into it, I encourage you to grab your favourite drink or snack and please make notes as we go along here. We all have different problems and we all have different limiting beliefs in life, so making notes on what particularly resonates with you will ensure that you get the best not only out of this video but out of the course in general. So write things down on paper or make notes on whatever device you're using, whichever method works best for you. There's also a short written exercise at the end of this video that, along with the notes, will really help you to consolidate the learning from this video. So, are you ready to follow me, your Sherpa, up the mountain? Then let's get started. Okay, so myth number 1 is, I don't know what I'm passionate about. Now that might surprise you. You might think, how can someone not know what they're passionate about? But the fact is, not everybody is lucky, so to speak. Not everybody can identify immediately what they are passionate about. I happen to be lucky. I've always known that music and writing are my 2 strongest passions. They're pursuits where I can completely lose myself in a different world, basically a world of my own invention. Now ask yourself, what are your favourite hobbies? Write them down. Write down things that you enjoy doing, whether you're paid to do them or whether you're not paid to do them. Things that would get you up out of bed and raring to go in the morning. In a similar respect, is there something that completely absorbed you recently? Is there something that you did recently, a certain activity, where you got so into it that you completely lost track of time? If so, that could be your passion. I'm not talking about something that's a mere obligation here. I'm talking about something that you actually enjoyed. So, pause the video at this point if you need to and think about those 2 questions. What hobbies do you have? What things do you enjoy doing, whether paid or not paid? And is there something that recently completely captivated you? If so, as I say, those could be your passions. Once you've written some ideas down, start thinking of ways that you could monetize it, or them, through things like activities or courses, or providing products and services to other people. Write these ideas down and choose the options that you enjoy the most and you think have the most monetization potential. You should be able to write down quite a few ideas, or possibly even ask other people that you know what ideas they would come up with, and you should be able to come up with some ideas of not only what would be enjoyable but what has some monetization potential as well. Above all, if something feels real to you, then it probably is. It would be very, very rare for you to have a passion or an interest that absolutely no one else is interested in. There's very rarely anything new under the sun. If you're interested in something, there's a good chance that someone else out there is as well, even if it seems very niche. Niches are something that we're going to talk about again later on. I've already talked about the importance of having a niche, but in short and sweet, if you're passionate about something, then it's valid. Moving now into myth number 2. Here's one that we've all heard. I don't have time. Sounds familiar, right? How many times have people said to you, oh, I've been too busy, or I don't have time, or words to that effect? The good news is you don't necessarily need as much time as you think you do. Many people fall for this myth that you need long hours to work on building your entrepreneurship and following your passion. In short and sweet, you don't, at least not to start with. Spend just 25 or 30 minutes a day on it. It's better to do that than to fall for the myth that I mentioned earlier, where you believe you need long chunks of time. If that's what you believe, then you probably won't find that time. Other things will get in the way. You'll get demotivated and frustrated, and we don't want that. If you spend just 25 minutes a day on it though, then you should be able to find that time from somewhere, because unless you've got a pretty cast iron excuse, you're not going to tell me you can't find just 25 minutes a day. And the progress that you make will be gradual, but it will be consistent, and you'll waste a lot less time trying to remember where you were the last time you worked on it. Also treat that time as sacred. This 25 to 30 minutes is for you. So I would say put your phone on silent and put it away somewhere so that it doesn't distract you when it goes off. If other people come in, tell them, no, sorry, I'm busy, I'll be with you later. Really treat that time as sacred so that you can make progress and move that needle. If you really are strapped for time, then ask yourself, could you reduce your working hours? Now, before you shoot me for suggesting that, this is nothing I haven't had to do in my own life. I walked away from the 40-hour job lifestyle because it wasn't giving me the time and the energy that I needed for working on my music and my writing. In order to know whether you can reduce your working hours, ask yourself this: how much money do you really need? Put your earnings in a spreadsheet and put your outgoings in a spreadsheet, and then cross out what you don't need to spend. Classify your outgoings as compulsory, nice to have, or get rid of, basically. And then I would say get rid of what you don't need to spend, keep only the most important nice to haves, and obviously you keep all of the compulsory things such as rent, electricity, and maintaining your car and so forth. But you might be surprised as to how little money you actually need, and that might help you to realise whether you can work fewer hours in your job, or possibly look for a different job that offers you more flexibility. Talking about money leads us into myth number 3, which is, I don't have enough money. What I mean by that is that some people fear that they don't have the money that's required to start an entrepreneurship, or that it costs a fortune to do so. However, as I just mentioned, you don't need to completely quit your job, especially not if you use the 25 to 30 minutes a day technique that I mentioned in the previous myth. And initially, you don't need to spend lots of money. It's better to have a very good idea of what your niche is and a very good idea of marketing before you start putting lots and lots of money into ad spend and so on. So you don't actually need to spend lots of money initially. More to the point, it's not always about money, it's about mentality. It's about having the right positive, optimistic approach for you to move that needle and make progress. If you really do need to stump up the cash, then I would advise that you sell some things that you don't need. This could be old clothes that you no longer need, or maybe some old video games that you no longer play. There's probably something that you can sell to raise a little money. Above all though, I would say put some sort of monthly budget together. This can be as small or as big as you like, depending on how far along you are with your entrepreneurship and your passion. But if you have an idea of how much money you can spend on it every month, that will give you an idea of how much you can accumulate. You have to speculate to accumulate, as they say. So having some sort of monthly budget is a good idea. There is also crowdfunding, but this is something that we'll come on to later. Crowdfunding is where you get your fans or followers to fund whatever project you're running and provide the funds that you can't stump up yourself. But as I say, that's something that we'll get onto later on in the course. The point I'm trying to make here, though, is that you don't need as much money as you think you need. In the same way that you don't need as much time as you think you need. You don't need to spend lots and lots of money initially. You can start small and work up from there. And the most important thing, I think you'll agree, is having the right attitude and the right positivity towards your work. Myth number 4. I can't do this alone. Now I have more good news for you here. You don't need to do everything on your own. It's common for entrepreneurs to fall for the myth of, I can't ask other people for help, I need to do everything on my own. Maybe they're afraid to ask others for help or ashamed to do so. We're almost sort of taught at school age that you need to do all of your homework and all of your projects on your own, and that asking other people for help is cheating. But in the business or entrepreneurial world, that doesn't apply. There's a great book that I can recommend by two men called Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. It's called Who Not How. And the message of the book is, don't ask yourself, how can I do this task? Ask yourself, who can do this for me? I've used this technique myself. When I recorded I See Fire by Ed Sheeran, I could have done the whole thing on my own, but I called in favours from friends and I got them to sing along with me during the sing-along bit of the song that you'll hear at the end. My friends didn't ask me for any money for this, they did it for free, of their own goodwill. So that's another important point. Some people are willing to work for free. I did have to pay the guy who mixed and mastered the song for me, but that was within my monthly budget that I talked about in the previous point. It's important to ask other people for help because they'll have ideas that you might not think of yourself, and therefore the result as a whole will be more rounded and better. Also, we're going to get into this in Module 2 of This Is My Name, but don't forget accountability. Accountability, as I say, is where you get other people on your side who are fighting your corner with you and pushing you along and encouraging you to hit those goals that you set. So that will be a further reminder of the fact that you're not doing everything on your own. But one final reminder, do set that monthly budget, because if you have a monthly budget, even if it's small, something like £50 or $50 to begin with, then you'll know what sort of people you can hire, who you can hire every month to help you put the polish on your work, whether it's designing a logo, improving your audio recordings, or whatever it is. If you've got an idea of the money that you can spend, you've got an idea of who you can hire to help you, so that you're not always asking, how can I do this? You're asking, who can do this for me? It will really benefit you, and it will save you time so that you can put that time into the more important stuff that you want to be doing. Okay, so coming now to some myths that are a bit more psychological in nature. The first of these is myth number 5. Nobody believes in me. Now, I was bullied in school, so I know what it is to feel minuscule, or for other people to put you down, to tell you that your ideas are rubbish and that you have nothing interesting to say. If that's you, if there are people who've done that to you in your life or are doing it to you now, then ask yourself, who are they? Who are telling you these things? Are they necessarily right? Or are they just trying to put you down? There's a good chance that they're just being morons and that they're being insensitive and that they're the problem, not you. Just because someone insults you or your work, it doesn't necessarily make you wrong. This is something that I've learned over time and a respect in which I've got stronger. If someone feels the need to put you down, that probably tells you more about them than it does about you. They're just the ones being morons, being insensitive, or insulting other people without a second's thought. Don't give too much thought and don't give too much focus to those people. Focus on people who do believe in you and surround yourself with them. You will always find people who will support your ideas, especially if you do them to the best of your ability. I've found many people along the way who've believed in my music, who've believed in my writing, who went out and bought Folk Springs Eternal, who've believed in my linguistic endeavours, and so on and so forth. Focus on those people and concentrate your energy on these positive people who encourage you, rather than negative people who will put you down and hold you back. We don't want them. And again, remember the accountability module. This is going to be coming up in Module 2 of This Is My Name, but that will be further solid proof that there are people who do believe in you and will encourage you. These are the people that you want on your side, not the negative people who don't believe in you. You will meet people who don't take your ideas seriously and don't believe in you, but let that be their opinion and move on. It doesn't define you. Myth number 6 is similar to number 5. Nobody will care. You might be sitting there thinking, why should anybody care about what I have to say or what products I put out into the world? Or you might think, somebody else out there is already doing what I'm passionate about, so why should people care about my take on it? If someone out there is already doing what you're passionate about, then this is good, because it means that there's a market for what you feel passionate about and for what you want to do. Don't let other people's success get you down. Take encouragement from it. If other people are successful, that's good, because it means you can succeed too. Remember that they were once like you, just starting out. The success that they're having, that you see, is probably the result of years of work and years of getting people on the right side. Success isn't a 5-minute job, especially if someone is colossally successful, like the people that we admire on YouTube, for example. But be happy for successful people. If they're successful, don't see that as a threat and don't see it as a stark reminder of the fact that you're not where you want to be. See it as a sign that you can succeed yourself. In terms of people not caring, those who do care will make themselves known to you. The longer that you work on your entrepreneurship and on your passion, the more these people will make themselves known to you and come to you. Like I said in the previous myth, I've met plenty of people who've become collaborators of mine when it comes to music, when it comes to writing and so forth. The same will be true for you. People who like what you do and do care will come to you, and they'll become long-term allies, some of them. On the whole, just be patient. It will happen. You will succeed if you want it enough and if you're in it for the long haul. Success is not a 5-minute job, and depending on what you do, it could take months or even years to achieve the success and the side income, or possibly the full-time income that you want. But be patient. It's not a 5-minute job, but it will happen, and you will enjoy the period of growth that you go through. Okay, now we get into the fear factor. Myth number 7 is I'm scared to put my ideas out there. This is something that creative people in particular can struggle with. They're afraid that if they put their work out there that nothing will happen, or that people will give them hateful, negative feedback and, again, try and put them down. My advice is feel the fear, but do it anyway. Put your work out there. There will be people who will like it. If you're passionate about what you do, and you do it to the best of your ability, you're very unlikely to get no positive feedback at all. You might get constructive criticism as well, but that's okay. People who give you constructive feedback are trying to help. You know, people who say, I think you did A, B and C well, but work on your vocal delivery, or, do X, Y, Z better. That's okay. These people are trying to help. You don't have to go on the defensive when you receive their criticism, if it's meant constructively and in a positive, creative way. Think about what these people are saying. Maybe you'll want to take their advice on board. Maybe it won't apply to you and you'll think, no, I don't need to do that. But constructive criticism is all right. If someone gives you unconstructive criticism and they're just being hateful, saying that was rubbish, don't bother, or things like that, take that criticism on the chin and then move on. You don't need to pay attention to this criticism, but don't be tempted to answer these people back, because some of them might be trolls who are just looking to wind you up. And if people are coming at you from a very negative and very unconstructive position, there's probably little point in wasting your time on them. I'd say take unconstructive criticism on the chin, as we have to as mature adults, and then move on. Remember that somebody out there is already doing what you're doing, so again, you're very unlikely to put something out there that is completely foreign to everybody and no one understands what it is. Another good way for you to improve what you're doing is look at the professionals. What are they doing and what can you learn from them? For example, are there people on YouTube that you can look to who are doing what you're doing? How do they shoot videos? What camera angles do they use? What props do they have? How do they dress? How do they deliver their performance vocally? Or how do they play their music, or whatever it is? Look at the pros and see what they do, and then take inspiration from them. That's another good way to refine your approach and to make what you put out there even better. If myth number 7 was, I'm scared to put my ideas out there, myth number 8 is, I can't handle rejection. Now, rejection is another necessary evil in life. When you put your work out there, there will be some people who reject it and tell you that you're not interested. It's like looking for a job. People will reject your CV, or resume, as they say. They'll say that they're not interested. It's okay to feel hurt by this. When something that we deeply care about is rejected, let's say we submit several chapters to a publishing house and all the publishing houses are either ignoring us or getting back to us and saying that they're not interested. It's okay to feel hurt by that, because it's natural to feel hurt. So work through that hurt and then work on bouncing back. Remember that failure does not define you. If several people reject what you offer, it doesn't mean that you're an inherent failure. It just means that you either need to improve your approach or find someone who does pick you up. When I work on building my Spotify presence with my music, people don't get back to me sometimes when I say that I have a song that might work for their playlist, but some people do, so keep going. Failure really is just feedback. It's an idea of what you need to do better so that your future attempts will be more successful. So have another go incorporating what you've learned, and your approach will improve, and so will the results. Finally, we return to one or two myths of a less psychological nature. I've talked about the importance of having a niche, but some of you might be thinking, I'm too niche. This is myth number 9. Remember that it's okay to have a niche interest, because there's more of a chance of you conquering a very small but specific portion of the market where you can draw in those fans and those followers and cut away the competition. In that respect, it's important to be niche as well. I know I've touched upon this before, but it does need repeating. Remember, if you care about what you're doing, so will others. And myth number 10 is, I'm not professional enough. If this is what you feel like, then again, draw inspiration from successful people. What is it that they do well, and what can you learn from them and from their approach? Then work on your own delivery. Consider the virtual, the verbal, and the vocal aspect of your content that you put out there. Virtual is everything to do with presentation. Verbal is to do with how you describe it, the words and the phrases that you use and that people will read. And vocal is, of course, how you talk about it, whether it's in person or whether it's in videos that you do online or conferences. So consider sharpening the virtual, the verbal and the vocal side of what you do, and that will really help you to sharpen your approach and release products that are magnetic. Above all though, practice makes perfect. You won't get there in 5 minutes, but put your content out there, see what feedback comes back, and then work on refining it. And a bonus myth: I just wasn't made to be a successful entrepreneur. Now, we're talking about taking our passion more seriously here and seeing it not just as a hobby, but as an entrepreneurship. And words like entrepreneurship and business are big words. Maybe they're words that are unfamiliar and scary to you at the moment. So I can understand if what I'm talking about in This Is My Name is a bit out of your comfort zone. But that's what we need. You know, we can't grow unless things are outside of our comfort zone. But in terms of beliefs like I'm not a businessman or I wasn't made to be a successful entrepreneur, I would identify those negative voices. Who is it who's told you this, or whose advice has made you think that you weren't designed to start your own entrepreneurship up? Was it parents? Was it people who gave you a hard time in school or in the workplace? Is it your peers? Is it other authority figures? It's very unlikely that this negative self-talk has come from you. It's probably come from someone else. So identify who those negative voices came from, then get rid of them, I would say. As I say, a part of This Is My Name is not focusing on the negative people who don't believe in what you do and will only hold you back. It's focusing on the positive people who believe in your vision and who are fighting your corner. Also work on your resilience. As a creative person, I know what it is to feel a lack of resilience. If people attack us for the work that we put out there, or if they don't take our ideas seriously, it can shake our faith in ourselves. But working on resilience is an important and rewarding thing to do. If, for example, you hire somebody to help you with your work and they don't do a very good job, dispute it and get them to do it again. Don't sell yourself short. If you're underpaid for a product or a service that you've provided, call the person and dispute it and get them to pay what they owe. If people give you negative feedback, again, work on your resilience by thinking, that's just what they think. It doesn't define me necessarily, so brush it off and continue. Or, you know, as I say, you can stand up for yourself, but I wouldn't recommend getting into long-winded debates with these people because it will just sap you of your time and your energy. But there's no need to have a lack of resilience. You can believe in yourself, and you have the right to believe in yourself and to be proud of yourself for going after your dream. Above all, though, I would say just start with small successes and then work your way up. We're here to start small, you know, this is new to us, but we'll start getting those first few pieces of impact and of income together, and then we'll build it from there. That's what an entrepreneurship is about. So I hope you found that useful. Now, I have an assignment for you. Download the worksheet that I've prepared for this video. You can find it underneath the video on my website or in the YouTube video description. There are some questions in there about your own roadblocks, what they are, how they've been holding you back, and most importantly, what you think you can do to overcome them. So go ahead, download the worksheet, fill it in, print it off if you need to, and make sure that you're organised by storing it somewhere when you're finished. I know you've already taken notes during the video, but notes, although important, are messy. So fill in the worksheet and that will really help you to make sense of everything. Then, like I said, file it all neatly in a folder. Also, leave me a comment underneath the YouTube video telling me what you wrote down. Who knows, maybe you'll think of some myths that I didn't include in the video, in which case, let me know. All in all, reflecting on your limiting beliefs like this will benefit you massively. So thank you for watching the video, go do the assignment, and then I'll see you in video number 3, where we will work out your route up the mountain to success. I'll see you at base camp.